Pleasure to meet all of you in person for those that I have not already. I could talk about the business for hours. I love this business. I know I don't get to though, but I thought as a way of an introduction to myself and my journey, that I would show a slide, and Elliot has these pictures in his office. So I don't know exactly when they were taken. I don't know the intended use. That is Mike Cooperman on the right. At the time was our CFO. I do know these are not great pictures, and I don't know if they made it online or not. When I joined, I was 37. Mike Cooperman was 41. He was the old guy in the corner office, and I am shortly turning 61. So this is a 24-year journey for me. And there's a couple things that are really striking for me, beyond just, as you age, you have wisdom, but to have the luxury to have worked at something with a long-term horizon and to be able to build and have the ups and downs and enjoy the successes along the way. But that is really, it's been a wonderful opportunity. Have enjoyed it immensely. The other thing is you appreciate what a blurring there is between yourself as a person and the company that you're part of and that you're working towards. It is striking how interwoven that has felt and been over the years. You grow as a professional and you achieve things, but it's always part of what the company is achieving. So that is really kind of my journey, and it has been wonderful to be part of. This is our company. This slide represents the business as it exists today. I'm not going to go into detail here because I truly appreciate how well each of you understands our business. The portfolio of brands that we have, the acquisition journey that we've been on for a number of years, and how we have rolled up a number of brands and integrated them into our business. Give an appreciation. We started out with domain registration. We've gone into some additional services. That's really setting up how I'd like to talk about the business today. And this, in many ways, reflects the conversation that Elliot and I periodically have, which is something to the extent of, Dave, like, is this business a block of ice that is slowly melting? Like, is that what this business has become? And why can't we have more success with additional services? These are the things that we banter back and forth, and that's what I intend to talk about. And that's how I'm going to orient the time that I've got today. To do that, it really requires me to spend a few minutes just talking about the channel. I really believe that this is a core asset that we've got in the business. It's been part of the reason that we've been and we will continue to be successful. It's the core of what the business is today. And I can't talk about where we are today without actually going back into the 90s. And it's wonderful as you put these slides together and you look at what sites look like, 1999, 2000. These were the two businesses that we had at the time. There was a profound appreciation for the business that we were in the 90s. It was a software download site. Business succeeded because we had 1,200 ISPs globally that were providing a local download. And it was the partnership with them that helped us appreciate the opportunity that we were about to embark upon with the wholesale domain business. It helped us to invent it. We have spent 25 years working with this kind of customer, nurturing and developing constantly in communication with them. We've grown as a business as they have grown. That is part of our DNA. And I always like to illustrate the point around our channel by telling a story. I pick a different reseller each time. This particular company knows that I'm using them and referencing them. They're ecstatic that I would pick them, that we as a company would pick them. And this is a great story to illustrate our business. Company started in 1999. The founder had a band and he wanted a website, and he found there were no tools at the time that would allow him to create a website. So he built it himself. And then in between touring, he worked at the record label where his music was published. And other artists asked him to build websites for them. They saw what he had done for himself. The realization that the founder had at that time was he very quickly needed to build an interface and some tools so that those other artists could do the modification of the site going into the future, because he just did not have time to do so. A few years later, he hired his first person into customer service. She is now the CEO of the company, highly respected in the music industry. The employee base of this organization is a collection of people that are passionate about music. They are musicians, they perform themselves, they may be involved in the music industry in another way, but they're actively involved in both the industry and this business. And sequentially, year after year, this company has just grown. As you can imagine, at some point along the way, they realized they need to provide domain registration, both as a registration as well as a management tool. And they partnered with us, and they've been with us ever since. We wouldn't find a better customer to have. And as they're successful, we continue to be successful. And if we understand their needs and grow along with them, then we are both successful today. And we have countless stories like this throughout our channel. Internally, we refer to this company as a vertical host. Today, everything you need as an artist to have a successful online business is provided by them. And it's one of about 10 segments that we have identified over the years as we look at and really try to understand as best we can our channel. We have hundreds to thousands of resellers in every one of these segments. That's a great diversification. We have 35,000 resellers, but many of these companies have their own network of resellers, which is in the hundreds or thousands themselves. And we believe that our channel scales to potentially 100,000 resellers globally through that multi-tier model. And there is both a mixture of large clients and the long tail. And we have equal contribution, just in terms of the margin as well as the impact and importance to our business that comes from our large accounts as well as the long tail. So it truly is the core of what we have leveraged to be successful. A couple comments about the channel, both the way I see it and the way that the industry would see it. It is of the highest quality that you will find in the industry. I really don't think that you will find a channel like what we have today and what we've developed. And it's an incredibly long tenured nature. The way that I define quality in this industry is we're selling a service, which is domain registration, but that is always linked to the usage of that. There is some service that is attached to it. It could be a website, it could be email, a variety of different services, but we generally don't sell a domain name through our channel unless it's attached to something. And that's great. That means it truly is in use. You don't see promotional activity through our channel that you would within other segments of our industry. Low price point, we're known as a premium priced supplier. There are less expensive places that you can get services, but that correlates with the opposite of usage, which is abuse. There are real abuse issues within our channel related to the DNS and some of the activity that goes on. That is non-existent in our industry. It actually makes it easier to manage our business, and it reinforces the quality. That's part of why our customers like being part of this channel. And then the last piece is that we have incredibly high renewal rates, well above the industry average. All of that feeds a cycle that this is a very healthy business that will continue on into the future. Makes it easier to manage, and it attracts the kind of partners that we would like. And those that don't fit self over the years. So I have a few metrics on here. I will tell you, having been in the business, yes, we've got like 22,000 resellers have been with us for more and active for more than 10 years. I can think of hundreds of people and businesses that I've known personally all the way back to 2000 and 2001. So incredibly long tenure. It's also very, very low churn. Sometimes I'm asked about what kind of churn rate we have, how many customers are we adding, how many are we losing? Low single digit. So you can think of it as being at the low end of the long tail, limited number. We have about 1,000. We have about 1,000 resellers that are at the bottom that churn out, and the 1,000 that we add new year. So it's not a meaningful contribution to our business. It's part of the steady state. I talked about how we've got large accounts that drive an equal amount of business that our long tail does. So 5,000 do more than 100 transactions within a year. We've got 35,000 that do between 1 and 99 transactions. So very nice balance in the size of the partners that we've got. The domains that we have been registered for an incredibly long tenure. To 20% of our base have been active for more than 10 years. Some of those go back to the early 2000s. And finally, we've done a reasonable job of engaging with our resellers around more than one service. So 5,000, those 35,000 resellers acquire a second service through us. With that, I'll turn now to the business, both the core domain business and the value-added services. And I would like to talk to you in the way that I think about and manage the business. And this is going to address the big challenge we've had around communicating what's been going on with our business through the spike of COVID and where we've settled it. So what I have put here to illustrate where we are with the business and what I see. On the left is the gross margin for the first quarter for each of the last 4 years on a deferred basis. On the right is on a cash basis. So if we sell a domain in the quarter for $12, the cost is $9. We have $4 of margin that will flow into our business, approximately $1 of margin over the subsequent 4 quarters. I have managed the business from the beginning to focus on the cash. How much is coming in? How does that compare to the previous year? How much are we spending? What are the economics of the business? So for me, what is happening on the right side is much more important. What is happening on the left is just as it's flowing through over the course of the deferral. The second thing that I've done here is I've split out the expiry aftermarket business and the occasional portfolio sales that we will make within our business. Because that to me is not at the core of the business as I see it, which is the annuity of the domain names, email, and SSL certificates. That's the business that runs and it drives the activity. The aftermarket and portfolio sales will be what they are. We certainly work to maximize that, but they're not the core of the business as I see. And one comment around portfolio sales, it tends to be relatively consistent from year to year, but there will be times when it varies from quarter to quarter. So it can look a little bit lumpy within our business. And when I remove the aftermarket, this is how I see the business. On a cash basis on the right, 2020, 22, and 23, the first quarter, all 3 of those quarters had relatively consistent transactions, and the gross margin on a cash basis is very, very similar. It's up marginally this year from where it was in 2000. And I cannot tell you how much of the business that you see with that spike in 2021 for the first quarter would have happened this year, next year, last year. It certainly did get pulled forward. I can't change that. That's just what happened. But knowing that if I look at the business over the 4 years from 2020 through 2023, that's very much as you've understood the business. Predictable, stable, very, very high quality. That business is not going away. The business drives to a bottom level of profit that is very healthy, and we are comfortable with. So yes, there will be some variation from quarter to quarter, but when I look at it, that time frame, I'm very comfortable that this is as we've described the business, as we've understood it, and we work our way through the cycle of the deferrals from the COVID bump. I want to talk a bit about pricing. As I said, we've managed the business for gross margin. I have to actually work to know revenue on a particular cycle because I can tell you gross margin at a daily, monthly, quarterly level. That's what matters the most. Our management of the business, our incentive structure, what we focused on has always been gross margin. In fact, when I'm asked, well, what happens with a registry increase? Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to manage margins? We simply pass it through to our resellers. Don't even think of the register or the supplier cost as part of our business. It is the margin that we make on each of those transactions that is most important. I have here our standard pricing. So this is a reseller, quantity one volume, what they get in, coming in, no special discounting. In 2000, we priced it at $10. That was revolutionary at the time. And for that reseller, we made $3.75 of margin. We did discount, whether it was to 9, 8, or other pricing. Over 24 years, through countless price iterations, we've managed to fundamentally maintain the same margin at that list price. It's now at $3.85 compared to where it was 24 years ago. Again, it just illustrates the way that we want to manage the business, what is important. And that really does drive a big part of the consistency in our business. I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about how I manage the business, how my team focuses on understanding the health of the business. Many of these metrics are interrelated. And I mentioned that the gross margin on a cash basis this quarter compared to the first quarter of a year ago, relatively consistent. The transactions were basically the same. They were flat year over year. So that's always important for me to understand. Are we driving more transactions, the same number, or fewer? And right now it's at a level state, and that's where it has actually been outside of the bubble from the pandemic for quite some time. Most of those are renewals. It's a great recurring revenue annuity business. Those that don't renew, we are replacing with new transactions. One of the ways we can tell what the number of non-renewed names will be is looking at the renewal rate. We have an incredibly high renewal rate, over 80%. It's been there consistently for quite some time. So our new registrations are replacing the domains that are not being renewed. If that renewal rate goes higher, that will project that the business will be healthier. The third element in this, they're all connected, is the gross margin that we drive per domain year. We do it on a yearly basis, not a transaction basis, because some names are registered for 2 or other increments of a year. So we look at the gross margin per domain year. For our entire business, so retail and wholesale, where we run the back end for other registrars, it's around $2.35 per domain year. Sometimes it's up a little bit or down a little bit. It's been consistent for 5 years. And it's been consistent through the roll-up of acquisitions that we have made. Similar, like quality reseller-oriented registrars, and we've integrated them into the business. And we've managed that gross margin per registration year over that time period so that it is consistent. Any one of these will project where the business is going in the future. The gross margin per domain year is trending lower. Transactions are trending lower. If transactions and renewal rate are trending higher, and the gross margin per domain year staying flat, all tells us where we are going. So I know that I've got a healthy business here and that these metrics are the right way to be managing the business. And then the last thing, and this goes beyond just domains, this is more businesses in its entirety. I don't look at expenses relative to revenue. I look at it relative to the gross margin that we drive for the business. This number was into the 50s and 60s years ago. And we've been on a drive to run the business as efficiently as possible. Software and technology and automation are a big part of that. When we acquire a company and we roll them in, this number will go up, as every time we've made an acquisition. And then as we run through the integration and we optimize around how that business fits with what we're doing, we bring this back down. We make another acquisition, it will go up, goes up, it goes down. I feel like we are at a good level to be spending relative for the business because we're very profitable, but we're profitable in a way that affords us the opportunity and the luxury to continue to reinvest in the business, which drives through technology and automation and software more ways to be efficient, which keeps us competitive in the marketplace, and it becomes a cycle that I feel we can continue to feed upon itself. And the last thing that I look at is margin per employee, and this is on an annualized basis. So we don't have a particularly large team, slightly under 250 employees dedicated within my group. And part of the restructuring in 3 companies 18 months ago was really to allow us to just manage it much better at a business unit level. So I want to see that that number continues to be healthy and is continuing to grow. But all of this tells me that we've got a healthy business. It is not without its challenge, though. And for me, the biggest challenge is finding a way to bring growth back to it. And that's really where we're able to start to shift our focus to now. In 2016, we made an intentional decision to tactically roll up competitors and get scale. We thought would be quite helpful in terms of an advantage within the marketplace. And there was a lot of work. Serially, every 18 months or so to acquire another competitor. And we did it very well. But hard work, there was a lot of work there. We tripled the size of the company. So we went from a relatively mature, profitable business to that same mature, profitable business, but at a much, much higher level. We do have a history of value-added services. And as I did with the story about Van Zugel, I mean, I have countless stories. This is where I could start to talk for hours, and I will not. But I've got 8 examples here. I'm not going to speak to all of them. At the top is where we've had a good degree of success, and it contributes meaningfully to the business. The bottom, not so much, or it turned out a different way. So we launched domains as a wholesale service in 2000. Within the year, we had 2 million domains under management. Let's launch a line of SSL certificates. How hard can that be? We had a big plan. 1 year later, we had sold 2,000. It was a fraction of the plan. We partnered with a company out of Ottawa called Entrust, PKI Technology. Wrong partner. We learned they were oriented around government and large account. They did not have the understanding of how you support small businesses, which is who buys through our resellers. So we switched to GeoTrust, and we added a couple other vendors' products. And over years, like a snowball, it slowly built where we put a ton of effort in upfront, limited return, but then we saw it flip one day where we were just spending less and less time, and the business kept building, and it was contributing in meaningful amount to the bottom line. It was great. We're going to do this with lots of services. We tried it with email. We used some technology from a company called Communicate. Hard when you're not in the business, you don't have reference accounts. We, a couple of years later, went out and bought the hosted division of Critical Path. And that gave us great reference accounts. Technology didn't meet our needs. We had to rewrite that, and we did a couple times thereafter. That business contributing meaningfully now. But again, many years and lots of iteration. The last one is Yummy Names, which was the name for our aftermarket business. We started out monetizing domains through parking pages. Then we realized there was more money in buying them ourselves and reselling them. We built a portfolio of tens of thousands of names. We had salespeople that were trying to sell them. Incredibly complicated. Eventually, we divested that. I think the last of that was in the late 2018 or 2019 time period. Now we've got a partner, and we just sell them through that partner on a monthly basis as they're coming out of the expire stream. It's a very nice add-on business for us. So we've had success there. Along the bottom, not so much. 2003, we bought a billing software company. We thought that we could pivot them from ISP billing to hosting. A lot of challenges, sometimes owner-founders joining the company, that does not work, but this business is alive inside of Wavelo today. So Justin still has it, and ironically, it's been successful that way. We tried a blogging tool in 2004. We built that ourselves. We tried white labeling a website builder in 2005. Neither of those worked. Not for lack of trying, just didn't work. We bought a portfolio of surnames, and we were going to sell that email based on the surname through our resellers to their customers. Resellers, they didn't resonate with them. They didn't want it. That's been an incredibly successful business, though, and it's a big part of what Hover is today, our retail domain business. And Ting was conceived of as a wholesale mobile phone offering in the US for our resellers. I feel like I banged my head against the wall for 2 years, and incredibly frustrating for Elliot because couldn't understand, like, this is what the market needs. We were doing it at a retail level, and that turned into an incredibly successful business that before our roll-up of competitors in the domain space, mobile business was starting to get close to the size of the domain business. So in what I would say is true Tucows fashion, a lot of these failures were incredibly successful, but in no way that we ever foresaw. All of this to say, this is hard. It takes time. They don't all work. Some of them do. When they do, if you iterate on them enough and you engage with your resellers enough, some of them work out and they become an important part of your business. So I just want to talk very quickly about a couple things that have happened. And you may not know this, but we had Domain Direct, which was a retail domain business in 1999 that preceded the wholesale business. Learned a lot from that, and we relaunched it as Hover almost 15 years ago now. Rob, a big part of us reinventing that business. We have learned so much over 24 years about what our resellers need in a domain partner because we've run a business ourselves. And this is a retail extension off of the wholesale business and platform. Incredible learning that goes on. We share it with our resellers. We encourage them to copy what we do. We take them through our learnings. It is incredibly helpful to have gone through this experience of operating the business that our resellers are in. And we have had a small hosting company inside of Tucows for about 7 years now. And this is not a business that contributes in a meaningful way, but it's not tiny. It's a couple $1 million of revenue a year. And we have learned through this process what's involved in running a hosting company. And what we've done is taken over assets from our resellers where they wanted to exit the business. So they want to focus more on design and development. We take over their customers. They want to focus on digital services, and they want to find a home for all of their hosting clients. We've taken them over, and it's now afforded us the opportunity where over the last several years, we've run all of the technology that our resellers are doing and all the different variations. And with this in mind, this group of resellers, we've focused in on three segments where they are really oriented around this kind of historical hosting. And our thesis is that this hosting is moving to the cloud. It should move to the cloud. We see what it's like to operate servers and infrastructure. We have our own private cloud. We work with public cloud. So our belief is that this is going to the cloud. You shouldn't be managing servers and all the resources associated with them, that there needs to be a whole new tool set around us. And this is really aligned with what we do in our other two businesses, being Ting and Wavelo. This is billing and automation. And this has been our domain platform for a couple of decades. So what we are doing, and we are working away at this, we've identified 10,000 resellers that we think are the best fit for this initially. We're experimenting with some proof of concepts in-house. We look to have an early adopter program in the second half of the year. And I will be doing this entirely within the existing cost structure that I outlined earlier. This will be completely transparent to you in our financials. You won't see it in the gross margin, you won't see it in the OpEx, but we're going to continue to work away at this. And I hope to, in future conversations, share some of the successes that we look forward to having. This is what has Elliot most excited about the business. It's what I'm excited about as well.